So the Unofficial Warriors Adventure Game server had an OC presentation night, and I did mine on Rosestar. And so I recorded it, and I decided I would just quickly upload it, just so those that missed it can see it, and also you could see what kind of fun we have in the server. If it seems like something that you'd want to do, if you want to learn about how to play the TTRPG, or if you just like talking about warrior cats, come join us. We have a good time. Anyway, without further ado, here's my crazy slapdash Rosestar presentation that I definitely did not throw together super quickly. I did find some really old like RP images from like circa 2012 through like 2016, so enjoy those. So yeah. Hi, so I'm talking about Rosestar from Rise of the Moon. She's been a long time OC of mine, and I have a lot of slides, so I'm gonna go through this lightning fast. So, like, she has, like, a bunch of, like, motifs related to her about, like, leadership and stuff. I've linked her playlist a bunch of times, but you're not interested in that. So, you haven't watched Rise of the Moon. Don't worry about it. We're gonna go through the basics. So, the basics, she's a dark, long-furred, dark ginger she-cat with a scarred face. If you've seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, she's if Olivia Mira Armstrong was a cat. That was, like, my main inspiration for her. She's kind of very scary. She's severe, intimidating. She is going to chew you out for, like, a minor mistake. She does come across as harsh and stern to her clan, but she does care deeply about them. And she is very firm and steadfast in her beliefs, especially regarding StarClan and their wisdom. She is a devout believer in them. Keep this in mind. It will be on the test. Her parents are actually still alive. They're the ShadowClan elders. Her siblings, Heatherleaf, the previous ShadowClan mediator, is deceased. And Bramblethorn, her brother, whom she also shared a suffix with, he was a warrior and a rogue, is deceased. In Rise of the Moon, the leaders all have a title for the last life they received. That is the tenet they have to live by. Hers is Judgment. Her last life was from her sister Heatherleaf. Her title is the Just. She wears woven brambles and fresh roses on her head, and her apprentice was Blackflight, one of the player characters in Rise of the Moon. Here's her picture. I just finished it like a couple days ago. And here's one I finished a while ago. This is her in Black Kit. Rosestar, what happens when you get 9 lives? Kill me and find out yourself. She's a very good leader, obviously. So, warning for this next slide, there's going to be some mild gore. You know, animal death, typical Warriors things. There's a dead cat on here, just saying, just in case. So, like, what's her deal? So, remember that bit about her being a devout believer in StarClan? So, in Rise of the Moon, all the clans have their own unique culture, and ShadowClan's is that they have the Moonstone on their territory, so they believe they are StarClan's last bastion of defense. And so all the leaders and deputies are typically chosen through omen or prophecy. Rosethorn and Bramblethorn were both two very intimidating warriors, and while Rosethorn did care deeply about her clan, what Bramblethorn cared about was power. So when the healer got an omen of thorny brambles, they were all like, oh, Bramblethorn's gonna be the next leader. And Heatherleaf was like, I don't like that. He's gonna end up killing us all through like some dumb shit decision. So she got some boar's blood, made a smear of blood leading all the way up to the leader's den, like late one night. And she put like broken brambles and a bunch of rose petals there, and everybody woke up and was like, oh shit. We chose the wrong cat to be deputy. So they dethroned Bramblethorn in a very public ceremony, and Rosethorn took his place. Bramblethorn was like, I hate that. And so he left. And then he came back with a bunch of rogues, took a life from the leader, killed Heatherleaf, and scarred Rosethorn's face. And she was like, I'm not going to let this stand. So she immediately killed him. And so she has no idea that the sign was faked, even though there are rumors that circulate among other clans. So she has, like, no idea. I don't know if she'll ever find out. I had some music here. The Fort Briggs theme from Full Metal Alchemist might as well be her theme. So here's Bramblethorn and Heatherleaf. I actually might redo their designs a little bit so they're a bit more pink in Heatherleaf's case, and Bramblethorn's that he's a bit more red, so they match Rosethorn. So fun facts. She was originally made for Pro Boards roleplay over a decade ago. She's always been ShadowClan. Her plot has not been the same, though. It did not include betrayal. In fact, it was a love triangle, and she liked men. She does not like men anymore. Her iconic facial scar came about after her version in a D&D 5e campaign got it from the version of her brother in a D&D 5e campaign. She actually dropped to 1 HP. She was gonna die. I would actually consider the 5e campaign her good ending, because she does find out the sign was faked, as opposed to Rise of the Moon, where she still has no idea. Her warrior name Rosestar is one of the most common warrior cat's OC names, but has yet to be used in the books. So here's some stuff I found on my old laptop today. Look at all these roleplay photos of this Somali cat I decided was Rosestar. Here's some really old art of her. I don't even know who this fucker is that's giving her the rose in the top. I don't know who this is. I think this was maybe the ThunderClan leader. This is her and Red Star, the leader of Wind Clan. They found out that Falcon Star fucking died. Here's some old art from the D&D campaign. This was actually in 2023, so if you just want a visual as to how quickly my art has improved, that upper top left picture was not from that long ago. This picture was from my friend Jen, who graciously drew her for me, and then I also drew the one in the bottom left. Hey, some of these names are really fucking familiar. This is also from the Pro Boards RP. So you see Rosestar here. Hey, that's Brightfire. We got Silvershade over here. So you see, these names are very familiar. And if we have time, I will read this post, but probably not. But this was the scene that the first time I roleplayed Rosestar as a bitch. Like, before this, she was compassionate, but she lost her shit in this scene. And writing it, I was like, wow, this feels really natural, and this is what I'm gonna go with from, like, then on. So, that's it. And as you can see, the RP was set in the American West, and I ran it, so it's not stealing ideas. This has always been mine. I just took it for Rise of the Moon. So what's she up to now? She is trying to figure out what's happening with the Lost, which are a weird illness going on in the clans, and you're gonna have to watch to find out. And there's her arguing with Blackflight, the end.
Any questions for Shan?
Is Rosestar a bitch now? Abso-fucking-lutely. How is she a bitch now? Well, okay, so she has a very, like... So Olivia Mira Armstrong, who she's based off of, really doesn't like the idea of equivalent exchange, which is the idea that the protagonist Edward Elric has, where like you do something good for someone and they'll do something good for you. She's like, that doesn't work in a very political might makes right world. And so her idea is might makes right, and you better fucking hope that the person who has the most might is morally correct. And so for Olivier, she's going to make sure that she's the one who has the most might because she thinks she is morally correct, and that is kind of where Rosestar has the idea. And so Rosestar makes a lot of controversial decisions in Rise of the Moon that in some way are pretty right, but she's kind of so extreme and harsh about going about them that you can't help but be like, hey bitch, what the fuck? Do I have continued plans for her after Rise of the Moon? Yeah, provided she lives in Rise of the Moon, she'll be in its sequel. It's getting a sequel called Flood of the Sun. So I do have plans for her. Originally she was a very Blue Star coded character, so we'll see if she ends up having a very similar arc, and maybe it could go in a completely different direction. I don't know. It is worth noting that her current deputy Iceclaw is not chosen by StarClan. Which means he's a temporary deputy, so she has yet to find the true true next leader of ShadowClan, she has not been sent a sign, and neither have the healer or the stone teller. How many lives does she have left? She has 5 lives left, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, she has 5. Is she single? Yes, she is single. Yes, Cody, you can draw her. And what is her greatest failure? I would say, so she definitely took Blackflight under her wing because she thought that Blackflight, with her very, Blackpaw rather, with her very abrasive personality, was going to end up thinking and having a very similar mindset to Bramblethorn. And so to prevent that from happening all over again, Rosestar took very special interest in Blackpaw, and it kind of led to Lostpaw falling to the wayside. And with Lostpaw falling to the wayside and also being berated as being weak by his own sister, he's the one who kind of fell for the I have to be powerful mindset, and he's the one that ended up being like Bramblethorn, so she considers that her greatest failure. What would she do if she learned of a false sign? I think she would lose it. I actually really want that to happen. I think, you know how Blue Star had that huge crisis of faith? I think that would happen for her. So I would really like for that to happen. I just don't know if it's currently viable within the current plot of Rise of the Moon right now, because there's so much other stuff going on, so maybe for the sequel. Which Tiger Star, Haven? Tiger Star 2 or Tiger Star 1? Because I think Tiger Star 1 she would eviscerate, but I think Tiger Star 2 and her are actually very similar. The first arc, I think she would hate him because, like, to her, like, Blackflight and Lost Heart are half clan, and to her, she's like, well, she's like, as long as you're loyal to ShadowClan, that's what is important. Now go do your fucking job. So I think she would really hate that how xenophobic he is. Like, man, you're killing good warriors here, idiot.
Can we please see that gigantic Rosestar roleplay post that was like crimson red and very long?
Yeah. Hang on. How do I go back?
Does she like talk to another person in it, or is it just her like raging? Oh my god, can I be the other guy? Hold on.
I'm gonna. Do you want me to read it?
You need to send me this image if I'm going to be the other guy.
Okay. There's no other guy talking here, I don't think. It's just her.
Okay. That's so tragic. I was so ready to be very anime about it.
No.
Alright, fine, then you just read it in that case.
Okay. Rosestar, for context, SkyClan in this roleplay was evil, and it was very, unlike in Rise of the Moon, where I've kind of given reasons why SkyClan is kind of evil, in the roleplay, of course, everybody just started putting their evil cats in SkyClan, so it just kind of became the evil just because clan. They had this huge, coup in the clan where, the deputy overthrew the leader and all the evil cats took over, and he just showed up at the gathering guess who got his 9 lives? And interestingly, the cats who could confirm that aren't there, and Rosestar is, very suspicious of that. So Rosestar's lip curled as Thistlestar spoke with all the arrogance of the Dark Forest. She knew he had to be lying through his teeth, but she could not predict the will of StarClan. If they truly granted him his 9 lives, it would be even more difficult to reinstate Bleakbranch as SkyClan's rightful leader. His clan might not want to even come back to him. However, if Scorpion Star could lose all 9 lives at once, so could the Dark Tabby in front of her. Oh my god, Nami. She just jumped up here. Come here. Okay, yeah, she wants to help. Okay. She snarled at the mention of Hawk Talon, but her claws remained sheathed. Oh, the clans would know her anger tonight, but she would not break the truce no matter how badly she wanted to shred Thistlestar's maw from even uttering that damn cat's name. Rosestar entertained the idea of remarking about how the 2 rogues had moved from one dictator to the next, but she kept the barbed insult on her tongue. Though she would not play her hand just yet, she would keep it close to her chest. Thistlestar would see that she knew what had occurred by Hazelsong's presence, but she would not voice it aloud now. His remarks about saving lives was a falsity as well. She had the carnage described to her. Cats of all ages, from the smallest kit to the noblest leader, died in that battle. It was not a battle under the decree of the noble code. It was malicious, plain and simple. After all, with an absent Scorpion Star and 2 SkyClan Warriors spots taken in the 2 SkyClan Warrior spots, we had assigned numbers that went out for the gathering, taken by rogues, his clan was looking awfully small tonight. If only that were the case, she would have rallied ShadowClan to attack by now, but with few loyal supporters to Bleak Branch and the rogues outnumbering ShadowClan, who were many in number, she had to buy her time. Rosestar's heart felt like it was gripped in a vice when Thistlestar said StarClan approved of his leadership. Although there were clouds present in the sky, none covered the moon. She swore inwardly before tilting her chin up defiantly, her voice cold as ice. Interesting that you didn't bring River Storm or Codtail with you to confirm your legitimacy. They were the medicine cats. The russet she-cat had seen that Codtail had decided to go to the gathering tonight, but similarly to Hazelsong, she had arrived with WindClan instead of her birth clan. If StarClan didn't intervene, though, it was clear that she would have to take matters into her own paws. ShadowClan would have to reunite SkyClan and restore balance to the forest, but would they have enough warriors? Would SkyClan even want to return? There had always been 5 clans. The fire in her green eyes didn't die, but she lashed her tail in frustration. I don't care how you want to thank these rogues, but they are not protected by the truths of the code. If they are found stinking up my borders again, I will not hesitate to let my warriors shred them for the vultures. Rosestar meowed at Thistlefang, her voice low and serious. She then turned to address the clans. ShadowClan is stronger than ever. Since the last full moon, we have gained 2 new apprentices. Cranepaw has been apprenticed to Brightface, and Rabbitpaw to Sheepcloud. Her voice boomed, her strength not faltering despite the thick tension in the atmosphere. Rosestar's gaze met Pipitclaw's. She would be proud of the next announcement. We also have 3 new warriors, Shadefrost, Pigeonflight, and Silver Shadow. We will have no problem defending our borders if need be. If circumstances had been different, she would have meant for that last name to sting Rowan Star to the core. The ThunderClan apprentice had, and then this is like she has beef with ThunderClan also, basically. But yeah, there we go.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
All right, everybody clap. Everyone clap. I need to see hands clapping together in the chat right now. Yep. Yep. There they are. Yep. Good. Good. Okay. Who would like to go next? Raise your hand.